I'm going to call this meeting to order. Are we live, Todd?
Yes, sir, you are.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we have item number 2, excused from the meeting. Amanda will be excused from the meeting. Do we have a motion to that effect? Lynette, all in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Adoption of the minutes of the August 11th meeting. Are there any errors or omissions to be, or changes to be made to the minutes of the August 11th meeting? And if not, a motion to approve. Holly, please, motion to approve.
Yes, I motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. All in favor of that, please indicate. That's carried. Call for post-agenda items. Are there any post-agenda items required? Seeing none, we have the agenda, and I will note that we have delegations of Cole Steinley coming in from NRSC for utility report at 10:45 and a public hearing at 11:30 to consider bylaw 203722. Other than that, a motion to approve the agenda as presented, please. Greg, please. All in favor of approving the agenda? That's carried as well. Question period. Are there any questions or notices of motion for our consideration this morning? Anything in the public sphere? Todd?
Yes, hello again. We have 6 people viewing, but we have no questions in the queue.
Okay, thanks, Todd. In that case, I'm going to suggest we move to item number, Todd, are you amicable to come down to give us the Ag Service Board update on item number 9.1?
Yep, I'll be right down.
Great, thanks. That's yeah, let's consider 10.1 Foothills Little Bow Association meeting agenda. Who's taking us through that? Matt, you.
Yeah, so we don't have the agenda yet, so watch your emails this week. It's supposed to be here this week and it hasn't showed up. So when that comes, maybe there'll be a little bit of chatter back and forth through email. But just a reminder, the 16th, we've got that meeting in Lethbridge and we can figure out carpool arrangements after. The time on that, we need to be in Lethbridge 9 a.m., 9:30 a.m. Yeah.
Typically, we all attend that at our discretion, right? Yeah, okay, good. Okay, thank you. Ollie, you have a question?
I likely will not be attending. I probably will be on my way to Manitoba that day. So
okay. We will have some communication back and forth, I'm sure, to get organized for that at the time. Welcome, Todd. Ag Service Board business 9.1, the update. Go ahead, please. We have your written report.
Yeah, the update is just very brief and verbal. We have a formal update coming at the end of September, so just wanted to let everyone know the bulk of our seasonal staff has gone now. So this is kind of the time of year where projects get done a little slower because we go from 20 people to 10 people. But we're happy that fall is here and everything's progressing well. We will probably do one more pass in the hamlets. I think the crew did a pretty good job finishing up before the end of August. Everything looks decent, but a little bit of rain might get things growing again for us. So we'll make sure they look pretty good for the winter season. Roadside mowing, we are just rocking through the south half of the county again. The crew is kind of up towards Tilly and in the Brooks area. So excited about that. And I can't remember where Dave is, but I suspect he's probably in the Rainier Bow City area by now. Looks really good. They're just kind of clipping off the tops. The second pass goes super fast. We're just really just taking down the weeds that are going to impede snow. So it's kind of an easier pass than the first one for sure. We're going to start hitting, we want to do a roadside spray fall program. So we're going to spray with a product called Esplanade. It's a barrier product. So you spray it in the fall and it kind of impedes annual weeds growing in the spring. So we have quite a few roads that are getting a little bit dirty, a little bit ahead of us. It kind of helps with weeds like downy brome as well, which we kind of get behind on in the spring. So we're going to start that probably next week. So looking forward to seeing the results on that. We were lucky to work with 2 different landowners, and we sprayed their potato cellars for them. So it's not really spray them. We kind of wash them with a disinfectant. Just to help to keep their storages clean for the winter season and helps potatoes store better. Storage pests, storage diseases are very, very detrimental for potatoes. So we've been offering that for years and years. And I'm happy to say that the Emerson construction is going to start again. It's been a very slow process and lots of delays, product delays, all that kind of stuff. So I did hear that the septic tank should be here on September 20th and installed kind of same day. So we're looking forward to that, and then we can move ahead with everything else. So that is about what I have for you.
Thanks, Todd. Questions, Holly, go ahead, please.
Hi, Todd. Where are you going to be spraying this Esplanade?
That's a good question. We've marked multiple roads, about 50 miles of roads that we want to do. So there's some in Rolling Hills, some in Scandia, some up towards Rosemary. There's some kind of all over the map. So just one spray truck will be going out. It'll probably take him 3-4 days by the time he travels all the different areas. But
Okay, thank you. Lynette and then Neil.
Just curious, when you say you're going to go back through the hamlets again, is that spraying or just mowing?
yeah, I don't think that we've done a look for spraying yet. We might do some spraying. We have that availability. We have the chemical and probably some time to do it. Did you note something that needs done? Sorry, yes. We do tend to spray the hamlets in the fall. If we do, that's the best time, the most effective use of par 3. But we haven't done it for multiple years. So it's a good question. It might be a good thing to go and double check.
Okay. One more question. The whole after-season camping thing down in Emerson, is that just for your seasonals? Is that kind of open?
That is open for everybody. So the after-season camping agreement, because it's such a beautiful park and the fall is, the last 2 or 3 years, we've had such wide open, beautiful weather. It just seems crazy to not have any campers down there. So what we do is we just have a little agreement because we don't have Faye and Richard down there after season. So we have an agreement. We know who's down there. We know when they're down there. They're paid for up front. And they kind of take responsibility for their own actions and anybody else that might be using that park. So when Faye and Richard are down there, they're monitoring for, detrimental activities and all the rest of it, raucous behavior. But we don't have that after season. So the campers end up being kind of our on-site managers. But yeah, it's if anybody hasn't camped down there in September, the leaves turn just beautiful colors. And I'm surprised more people don't request to take pictures actually, because those big cottonwoods are they're gorgeous at any time of year, but the fall is unreal. So yes, anybody can do it. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, thank you. Neil?
Just one question. Does your fall spray work on kochia? Because it is showing up all over the county.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we're interested in as well. It works on all annual weeds. Well, I shouldn't say all, but there's a long list of weeds that Esplanade works on as a barrier product. So we spray it on. You're supposed to get moisture within 90 days. So we think we're probably safe to spray it now and get moisture before December. And then any annual weed or anything on the Esplanade list that tries to grow through that barrier is going to die when it comes up. So that all of our perennials, so the grasses, and the bad ones like thistles and whatever, the perennials that come back from the roots, they'll grow through it. but the annual weeds die when they try to grow through it. So yeah, kochia, I mean, what else do we have that's problematic? I mean, lots of prickly lettuce, lots of, well, yeah, there's any annual species, I guess, that would be in the ditches. We've even seen some effect on foxtail barley, which is it's not registered for, but we've seen some effect when we've sprayed it in those areas as well. So we're looking forward to some of that benefit, added benefit, I guess.
Okay, thanks. Holly, please.
I do see it's supposed to work on kochia. I'm just looking it up. I'm just wondering about effects on non-targeted plants. For example, we've had problems with the spring spraying killing maple trees. So I'm just wondering, is there any risk to other ones we don't want to target?
There shouldn't be, because we're spraying we're spraying it for primarily annual weeds and next season. So trees are not an annual species, so they grow, come back from the roots. We shouldn't have that problem. And anything that's an annual, in my opinion, that's in the ditch is not a welcome species. So we're looking for grass. That's our goal. If you can't mow it, don't grow it. That's our motto.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Todd, but let's move on to 9.2 quickly, the South Region Ag Service Board's conference on October the 25th.
Yes, thank you. And as time flies by, I kind of forget how long that you guys have been on council. And I guess this would be almost your first full year, right? So you would have started just after the annual conference last year. Right. So congratulations. I mean, anniversaries are big. So we'll have a celebration in November. Maybe never miss them. Yeah. Never, ever miss them. No. But yeah, so the South Region Ag Service Board Conference, it's a beautiful one-day learning opportunity. It's where we discuss South Region resolutions, if there are any, and we get to see different parts of the South Region. So we have, I think there's 19 municipalities within the South, so we have a wonderful schedule, and we just, every year we go to a different municipality, and every municipality gets the opportunity to host. So this year, October 25th, is the MD of Crow's Nest Pass. And yeah, they didn't have an agenda out yet, but because this was kind of our first kick at it, I wanted to, put that idea in your head that October 25th is a good day to save to go to Crow's Nest Pass.
And you're inviting us all to come. That's the idea. Lynette, do you have a question? Yeah.
It's just the one day, so what's the time frame? Do we have time to drive there in the morning and get home?
Yeah. Usually registration is between 9 and 10, between 9 and 10. And then we have kind of that 5 to 6 hours of learning opportunity and discussion, lunch and snacks and all that good jazz. And then we drive home.
Okay, so a one-day event. Precedent is that council has attended at their interest, and it's available to all of us to attend. So we'll keep that in mind. We'll meet a few times before that, so we'll know. Is there a registration deadline or anything like that? I don't imagine.
No, and right now it was just an idea to,
Sure.
just to keep it in your minds. And
Appreciate that. Okay, thanks, Todd. Cool. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, thanks for your presentation. Okay. With that, I will suggest we move to item 11.1. Cole, welcome here, and if you take the mic for our NRSC report, please, Cole. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Reeve and councillors. We'll start off I'll give you an update on the Hamlet distribution and wastewater systems. Again, we're just wrapping up some of our summer projects, and we're moving into our fall. The preventative maintenance things that we do coming in the fall, we usually do twice a year, spring and fall, flushing of Tilly and Lake Mill Resort through their fire hydrant system. So we're going to do that. And we're also checking all the fire hydrants at the same time while we do that flushing to make sure that they're operational for winter. So some of them that are in high groundwater areas that don't have automatic drains in them. We make sure they're drained out, and they're still usable, but we just want to make sure that they don't freeze up for winter so that our first responders can use them when needed. But knock on wood, that doesn't occur for them. We also do the cleaning and checking of all the sewage lift stations in the hamlets. So there again, we just clean them out, spray them out, make sure that everything is in good working order so that we don't have to deal with any problems during the winter, because nobody wants to deal with those at the best of time. But when it's minus 30, it's not a fun job at all. So there again, we try to look at them in spring and fall, make sure that they're in tip-top shape. So that'll be happening here shortly. And we also, the sewage force main that goes from the lift station at Lake Mill Resort and goes all the way to the old sewage collection area by the old number 1 highway in Brooks. So there's a sewage force main that goes, forget exactly how many kilometers it is. It kind of snakes through the county to get there. There's air release valves along that. Preventative maintenance suggests that we take a look at those yearly and make sure they're all serviced properly and operating properly, so that line doesn't have any issues. So we're going to be doing that here in the next couple weeks as well. That's basically it. I just, as a note, I had mentioned before in my last report that we're doing valve exercising program throughout the county. I believe we just have the hamlet of Patricia left, and then that'll be complete. So that'll be done here in the next week or two as well. The rural water project, I'm assuming that a lot of you know what happened with the EID's fiber optic project. You had a couple line hits on the rural water project line kind of close to the Rolling Hills Highway. I believe it's 1714 that it occurred. So we had 2 strikes about 2 kilometers apart. That we were forced to go out and fix 2 leaks. So Jeff obviously put in a stop work order, so the EID are no longer at this moment directional drilling any of their fiber optics in. So I haven't heard anything since then, but last correspondence I had with Jeff is that NRSC, the county, and EID staff would be getting together to kind of go over and see what kind of course of action, and so that they can continue on the project with safe work practices in order so that this doesn't happen again. So that's kind of where that's at, and I imagine Jeff will give you more insight into that in his report, or Mark. But that's what I have for that on that topic. And then just another update on the ongoing MPE project that they're doing for the assessment of the lift station at Lake Mill Resort. They are just compiling and putting together the final report, and they said it would be on my desk towards the end of September, and then I'll be sitting down and meeting with county staff, and then I'll hopefully be able to present it to you in some form next meeting that I come to in October. That's the extent of my report. So if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Thanks, Cole. Matt, you've got a comment?
Just a question. When your crew is exercising valves, Cole, are they also exercising curb stops at property lines?
I looked at our agreement with that, and Mark had brought that up in the past. That is a mistake. Just the design of those curb stop valves, they're just a ball valve quarter turn. It's what we want to exercise is a gate valve style that has a stem and has several turns to open and close them. So those are more common than that we need. It's not common practice to go on every single site, especially it's not done in the city of Brooks. It's not done in Mesnat or places like that. Just because, especially Rolling Hills was the one that Mark brought it to our attention. Some residents at one of their meetings suggested that we be doing that. The problem with that is the point of failure on 99% of those, because of they're over 30 years old, is the cotter pins in the stems are corroded. So we go to turn them, they're only a quarter turn. We close them. They usually can't get them back because the pins let go. So then you're basically having the Brooks Asphalt having to follow you behind you just to exercise these valves. And then it's about $2,000 to $3,000 to fix each one. So it wouldn't be beneficial for us to be turning them on and off because they're working order and they're only quarter turn to close anyway. So that's the mindset behind that. But I did look at our agreement that we signed many years ago, and it said specifically curb stops in there, but in common practice, that's not, and I don't know how it made it in there for that, but we definitely do all the main valves throughout the distribution system. So that's kind of how that is being done.
Thanks, Cole. Kelly, please.
Morning, Cole. My question is, who collects, and I assume the EID will be paying the bills for those strikes on the rural water project?
We were specifically told by Jeff to make sure that we account for every single penny that we spend, and it was told to me that that would be forwarded onto the EID.
So that will be sent by NRSC to EID or sent to the county and then forwarded to EID? Either way.
I'm assuming that our typical agreement, the way it works is anything that we do, there's an admin cost to that, but we'll forward it on to you and then you would send it to the EID for reimbursement. Yeah, Matt's nodding, so I'm assuming that's the way it's going to go.
And we'll have a further update later in the meeting on that too as well, I think in a positive perspective, so good. Any other questions? Seeing none, thanks for coming in, Cole, and for your report.
No problem. Thank you very much for the time.
We have a public hearing at 11. Oh, 11:30, I'm sorry. All the time in the world.
I get messages in the worldwide thing that gets communicated, so it's all good.
Let's move to item 11.2, our Director of Municipal Services. Welcome, Mark.
Okay, monthly updates. Great to see you all again after a break through August. Anyway, reports in front of you. You can read the majority of it yourselves. Just going to highlight municipal enforcement officers. They did identify 2 watercraft operators that had not registered with the Eastern Irrigation District program for aquatic invasive species. So they're out there helping the EID try to protect our waterways. Additionally, both supervisor and officer participated in a multi-agency search and rescue mock exercise on a water rescue on Lake Newell. And with that, it was basically reported persons missing and a boat somewhere on the lake. They get debriefed as to what the incident is, and then they take upon their roles and go out on the search and rescue mission looking for those bodies. With that, that was multi-agency, so Alberta Fish and Wildlife, Alberta Conservation Officers, Parks and Environment staff, City of Brooks Fire and Emergency Services, City Peace Officers, as well as Alberta Health Services and Search and Rescue Services were involved in that one. Feedback received from the supervisor was that it was an excellent exercise to be done. Been a long time, but it is one of those more relevant things that have happened in the past to Newell, and really great to practice with all of those agencies in that situation because it's been a while since one has been conducted. Also, some efficiencies gained within the department. OmniGo is the case management software for the department, and Smart Squad is the electronic ticketing software that we're using. They have got an integration together, so we no longer have to take tickets and enter them into OmniGo, which is a redundant process. It's integrated and automatic now, so that's great that that progress has been made. From Fleet Services, I know that we have a number of trucks sitting at the local dealership. I don't know what state they're in, but they have been delivered. And latest update just this week, I think they've all been shipped. So we'll see what happens there, and we'll get them put into service as soon as possible. And that will be part of the objective because we need to get those other trucks in for the fall resale, because that is one of the higher times for resale values to be received through Enterprise and their records. So that's what we're after there. Want to just say to council that we are mindful of all grants and things that might be applicable to the county. There is a medium and heavy duty zero emissions truck grant floating out there right now. Incentive of up to $200,000 on the purchase of your truck. Sounds wonderful, right? The Government of Canada has an approved truck list to qualify you for that grant. I looked into that. The Kenworth T680E and the Peterbilt 579 EV are semi-tractors, so there's no gravel box on them. They all pull trailers. And I looked at that. Their maximum range is 240 kilometers. Takes approximately, 3.3 hours to charge. Therefore, I'm going to tell you that we will not be looking to incorporate or take upon that grant in any time soon. Great to see that things, I guess, are making some of those changes, but there's really no fit in our operations for what we need to rely on and deliver services. Grader operators, about 6,100 kilometers of road graded year to date. You know, rain events have kind of been far and few between lately, so dust, washboard, all those fun things are relevant to us. Grader operators are getting around as timely as they can in their cycle of things. I want to remind council, approximately 25 days to do one complete round in their cycle, now that we're down to 7 grader operators and graders. Prior to that, when we had 8, we were right around 20 working days. Prior to giving a little bit heads up and listening in earlier today, I was going to bring in the complaint statistics for you to say whether our complaints for washboard and things are higher or lower compared to previous years. My gut right now, because I see them all come through the system, is we're not ahead of where we have been and we're not behind. I think we're pretty well status quo for anything. And in fact, I think we're probably a little bit less on the complaint side of things because we did have regular moisture throughout spring and July. So I think it's a little bit at bay, but 35-degree weather, it's going to happen, and it happens immediately. So additional to that, EID and county joint effort to replace a culvert under a major drain on Township Road 20-4, which is just east of the PR 130 on the speed curves before you're on your way to Dinosaur Park. That drain is 6 meters deep, and it took the EID 2 weeks to complete that work. So that was a major cut, replace, and backfill it. So 6 motor graders. Terry got an update today, so a little bit of a stray from my report. Best we can expect is 3 of them in the January-February period of 2023, and the other 3 to be hopeful in March-April of 2023. So leading into what Terry is going to ask of you today, be mindful of this. The lead time for production, for components and things like that, we're asking you for a reason, and I believe it's justified. Pathway. First 2.4 kilometers, we had our pre-construction meeting yesterday with the contractor. They are expecting to get going midweek next week. So a bunch of locate flags out in front of the building and stuff, if you noted that on your drive in today. And the EID has already taken it upon themselves to relocate their 1 mile of fence or 1.6 kilometers of fence. Contractors on the hook for doing that stuff owned by the county. And yeah, we're looking forward to get that started. And then the stage 2, the 10 kilometers to get us further to Kinbrook Island. I want to say we're in about a 95% design state on that. And I'll be looking to re-engage the elected officials and those that were sitting on that committee with us as to what our next steps are based on where we're positioned currently. So C&W Phase 2, I know Jeff's been working diligently with the engineers, MP Engineering, as well as Bridgeland Services on land acquisition or easement acquisitions. I know that we're beyond 80, so 80 is a conservative number in this of the plus minus 160 required. think we're really getting to a state where first contract can be firmed up so long as we've got everybody registered. So that's going along well. CNWP refund checks, just so council's aware, 8 refunds have been approved as of writing of this report, 8 denied of the possible 20 that we believe are on record. So everybody that submits is going through the same screening process. So everybody's capable of trying, I guess. And we are working closely with the Eastern Irrigation District on their phase 2 of their fiber optic line, as well as the planned phase 3 of their fiber optic line. And as you've already heard, you'll be receiving a further update later today. Other than that, statistics from the permits, we're kind of on track. We're about 8% higher than previous year. You know, I don't want to say that word that nobody wants to hear, but things are more normal than what they have in the past 3 years anyway, or 2.5 years. So that's looking positive for the region, and just an indicator again as to how much activity in oil, gas, and construction are going on in our region. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mark. Are there questions? Lynette, please.
With the graders that we ordered, have we given them any money? Like, does any money go out until we get them, or how does that work?
No, we confirm the order, and then upon receipt and stuff, we pay.
Okay, Dan, please.
Got a question on the line painting. Is there a chance that maybe they doubled the one side and forgot to switch on some roads? Because it sure looks that way in some places.
That's a great question. That was part of our cost-cutting initiative for our ratepayers. So Alberta Transportation right now will paint eastbound or westbound lines on 3-digit highways, which includes the center line and the shoulder line only. So there will always be one shoulder line that does not get painted by Alberta Transportation. And when we were going through those times of looking at some cost-cutting measures, we adopted the same practice. So it's not your eyes. They have not double painted one side and center line. It is that they have painted the center line and the shoulder line in one direction only based on the year that we're in. Around this building, you'll see that they have painted everything because we have acceleration and deceleration lanes and things like that. So those 4-lane kind of areas where there's lots of traffic, they will paint it all.
And I'm aware of that. I'm just more concerned. What I'm seeing is some of the unpainted lines are about half worn out and some are barely visible. So I'm wondering if maybe they did southbound last year and southbound again this year.
Lines just get worn that bad. So if that is something that council would like to see changed, where we paint all lines every year, I would encourage that be brought up at time of budget just deliberations and discussions. But that decision was made, I want to say 2 to 3 years ago now. And nobody else has really said anything, and it does fall consistent with Alberta Transportation. So part of our justification is obviously transportation has done the liability assessment on that, or the risk assessment on that, and they feel comfortable leaving that one line as faded as what it is, and therefore we believe we should be capable of following consistent practice in saving some money for our taxpayers annually. But again, that would be a service level decision of council.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Holly, please.
Hi, Mark. You talk about having to do 2 authorization forms for aquatic invasive species. Does that mean that there were 2 that weren't inspected, or 2 that had mussels? Which did it mean?
Two people that did not previously have the vessel inspected by any EID representative or our officers prior to entering water bodies. And my understanding on this one was both vessels were caught before they entered water bodies. They were not found to have any aquatic invasive mussels on them at all.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Thanks for your report, Mark, and look for a motion to accept the municipal services report. Ellen, please. All in favor of accepting the report, please indicate that's carried. Thank you. Let's move on to item 11.3. No. Yeah, 11.3, tender award. Terry Schroeder, welcome.
Thank you, everyone. So here this morning to get approval for a tender award. This one here, I guess, in a nutshell, we have an annual construction budget of about $1.8 million. Pretty much been doing this for 10 years that I've been here anyway. So this year, part of our 2022 program was a road and drainage improvements on Range Road 143 from Township 19-2 to 200. So kind of around the corner from Service or John Deere, you go back to the north there. So there's that corner there, you go around a little pond there and continue up north to Range Road 200. Our engineering, we got WSP to engineer the road and design it, which they pretty much do with all our projects for the last 4 or 5 years. Their estimate on the work was right around $500,000. So I did have this one and one other project we had scheduled for this year. Typically when we do our projects, once we have the budget approved, if the projects are usually well under $200,000. So usually once our budget's approved, we just go ahead and do the work here. This one here being that it was approved over $350,000. So as per policy, we have to bring it, and I can't approve it, Mark can't approve it, even Matt can't approve it. So we have to come and basically talk to council about this. So this road, I don't know if some of you guys have driven it. We do have one area that particularly is troublesome for us over the years. There's actually a really good sag in the road, really flat and no ditches. So when we have heavy rains, it really washes out really bad along the edges of it. And I've seen it where we've had up to 2 and 3 foot ruts. So typically after rain events, we have to go back in there, grade up the ruts and make it better again. The whole distance of the road has poor ditches, no ditches. It's just a nice little project that we identified quite a while ago for improvements on it. So it's about 4.3 kilometers in length, so just under 2 miles. Most of it is a collector road, so a fairly busy road. We have a feedlot on it, a few subdivisions and stuff like that too. So it is a fairly busy road. The tail end of it is a non-key road. So we're just going to build it to our standards. So we look for an 8-meter wide road and try to get our ditches, nice ditches in there for snow and water within the 20-meter or 20.12 meter road allowance. So the work was designed, and we tendered it here 2 weeks ago. We did get the results in on Tuesday when I came back from vacation. I have a list there. I'm pretty sure you guys have that listed. So we had three parties that did put tenders in for this. So the first one was from PME Incorporated for $758,000. The second one was from Brorson Construction for $640,000. And our final one was from Brooks Asphalt Aggregate for $526,041.21. So I guess what we're just looking for here is just approval from council to approve, I guess, County Council award the 2021 road drainage improvements for 14.3 for construction to Brooks Asphalt for the amount of $526,041.21.
Okay, thank you, Terry. Are there any questions? Neil, please.
That's a really good project. I drive that road on a pretty regular basis. And I would make the motion to award it to Brooks Asphalt.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any more questions? Holly?
Yeah, there's a question. So I can see the south part of that section is quite bad. I would agree that's an interesting kind of thing. It's more of a curiosity question. So you've said 4.3 is a collector road, and that's more of a priority. And I think the north end's a bit better. So why would you add on a non-key part? Or is that just typical that we would have that, or how does that work?
It just going from intersection to intersection, just to clean it up and do it all at the same time. It is classified as that too, but I think the traffic on the whole road is busy right from Range Road 200. If anybody's been on 200, that is a busy road as well too. So that's a classification that we did probably 10 years ago. The only one really traffic that would drop off on there is Black Magic, and there's probably about 8 residents in there. So, and it's just 0.6 of a kilometer. So it's just nice just to finish it up from intersection to intersection, right? And get it all the same and consistent.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, we have a motion on the floor to approve the tender as recommended by the report. Option 1, yeah, all in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Thanks, Terry. And with that, let's move on to item 10.4, the tender award for a pre-order plow truck, gravel truck. Go ahead, Terry, please.
Okay, thank you again. We have a capital replacement program that we've set up in our asset management program and been running it for quite a few years. So this year we are looking at replacing a plow gravel truck. So most of you guys have seen these around. These trucks are basically utilized to haul gravel in the summertime and stockpile in the wintertime. In event of a snow, we get snow or a snow event. These trucks, particularly this truck that we have here, you can take the gravel box off. We throw on a sander on the back of it, and go out and plow roads. So very, very important piece of our fleet, especially when we're looking at snow removal, which is kind of a really essential part of our operations, and we need extremely reliable equipment on here for this purpose. Trucks, typically we get 10 years out of them, and then 10 years we put about 500,000 kilometers on them and about 10,000 hours. So and it's all gravel roads. So they do get beat up pretty good. It's a lot of wear and tear on them and stuff like that too. So I mean, highway trucks, they put millions of miles on them, but they're all gravel road and stuff like that too. So we do have one truck. It's Unit 221. We purchased that one in 2011. It is sitting currently over 100 or 500,000 kilometers on it and over 10,000 hours on it. So you get to the point there where it's going to be needing major work. So typically I go to council and we put it in budget and we will order these in January, February, but like Mark already suggested with the graders and stuff like that, the trucks are extremely hard to find. There's still people that are looking for trucks for 2 and 3 years ago, especially specialty built trucks. So I just felt that if I want to get this by next summer, cross fingers that I do have an opportunity here to pre-order it here in September and at least get our names on the books and get it ordered in the system and the queue and stuff like that too. So what I did is I just went through RMA, again, the trade division, and requested a truck exactly the same as our last one that we ordered, like 177. So it's a Western Star truck. Allison transmission, stainless steel sander, wing, front plow, and try to make it the same. And then also with the Bosch Roxwell controller on it, really trying to do our best to standardize everything that we ordered, because we have staff that use these. We don't use them a lot, so it's really nice that everybody can hop in the truck and be familiar with the same amount of equipment. So there's really 2 manufacturers in probably Canada that make a lot of these, and probably Western Canada for sure, and down in the States. So there's Tenco. They provided a quote for this truck for $498,900. And then the other one is Viking Chives for $467,920. Our last truck that we did purchase was Viking. They did set it up and did a pretty good job with it. So we're happy with the unit. As I mentioned, it's a new Western Star. It'll be actually a 2024 Western Star. Kind of neat that they did change the frame and body of it a little bit. So most of these old trucks are kind of welded together. These trucks now are more like cars nowadays. They actually press the bodies together. So the body style has changed on them a little bit more modern and stuff like that. So there again too, it's a Ren gravel box, pretty much standards that we use there. Stainless steel hopper, sander, front plow, and then our controllers. So yeah, that's it. I think it's really important that we get this order in the queue so we can see it here next year. So I guess that's a summary on there. So there again too, I just had 2 options. So the county awards the pre-order and purchase of a plow gravel truck to Viking Chives for $467,920 for delivery in 2023.
Okay, thank you. I just have one question. You note in there that you've seen variances or price increases of up to 40%. Where would what's the range here? Is it close to that?
Yeah, it is. It's right bang on there. Yeah.
really, from your last order 2 years ago?
Yes, I think our last order, the truck was $350,000 before we set it up. Graders did the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's the trucks, and then, yeah, I don't know. It is like that with every industry. It's really tough with these big trucks. So.
Yeah, I understand that too. Is there any indication of that trending back? I mean, probably never to normal, but where what we thought was normal, but, and is there any estimate on costs if you were to delay, you know, put more miles and hours on a truck? What's that going to cost us, you know, from a comparative perspective?
That's a tough one. I don't know. I've gone out to look at price of combines lately. It's a tough one. And of course I talked to the vendors about that. Is the price going down? I think last time they seen something like this, when prices jumped up, they tend to stay, they actually stayed up. And I think it was back in the 80s or 90s, they had a significant increase in vehicles and stuff like that the price did jump up. You could take the chance that the price may come down or stay up or even go further up. It is a tough call to make. I know there's a couple other items that weren't essential to us that we could get by with another year or two. We will delay stuff like that, but I think these plow trucks, because they're an essential service and a very important part of our operations. I think it's just best for us. We felt it's best to stay with our plan of our scheduled replacement on them and not take a chance on whether they go up or down too. The Canadian dollar plays a huge part in it too, because most of the stuff all comes from the States and it plays a very, very, very big, and you can see a 5-10% increase in just with the Canadian dollar moving around. So it's a tough one to forecast. So
yeah, no, I agree. Further questions? Thanks, Terry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Greg.
the box and blade, are they and the sanding box, they're all going to be replaced also with this truck? Now, are they a component thing that they would, is it, I'm just a general question, do we have to replace the blade and the two boxes along with it? Or is it something that isn't interchangeable with the old ones?
So, good question, and we ponder this all the time. All the equipment we purchased in the past was typically just steel with painted. And trust me, when you use these, especially the sanding boxes, when you use them for 10 years and they're just got sand and paint, or they're just usually sandblasted and painted, they're not much left of them after 10 years just because of the abrasive nature of them. But our truck that we did buy last time, we did move to stainless steel in hopes that maybe in 10 years, if they're in good shape and we get everything on kind of standardized, that maybe there'll be an opportunity just to place the truck and other components and use these components further on. The blades and wings are not stainless steel. I don't think they're available yet. Those two components get beat up good because they're usually on the road surface doing 50 kilometers an hour. And by the time they're done, we're welding them back together. They do get beat up. So that, yes, and that's our goal. That's why we went with the stainless steel in hopes to be able to reuse those boxes there too. So.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Terry. Go ahead, Greg.
And also just wondering on resale of the old truck, is there much for value of those old trucks and wings and boxes?
What we've seen in the past is usually the sanding equipment goes for peanuts, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. Where we do get good value is in the trucks. In the past, I usually bank on about $40,000 for a truck that's 10 years old with that many hours and kilometers on it. I suspect if we get these trucks to auction sale in the next year or two because there's a shortage for them, there's probably potential to make up for that little bit of difference, right? I haven't looked at any numbers there lately, but there is a shortage on there. And once there's, especially if there's a demand for these trucks there, I suspect that we'll get quite a bit more than we typically get for these trucks. So I watch that and make sure pick an opportune time and get the most for it as we can. So.
Okay, thank you. Ellen, and then.
Greg just asked my question, so.
Okay. Neil, go ahead.
I really like your 500,000, 10,000 hour scheduling. If you go much more than that, there's still a lot of good use left in that truck to the right person. And we were in an auction sale in January, we got 40,000 more on a tractor than we were hoping for. So I think it's a smart decision.
Okay. You have direction for us? Lynette, you've got a question?
I'd be ready to make the motion
Okay.
that we go with option one.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Thanks. Terry and Mark, we have 5 minutes before our public hearing starts. Yes, let's move to 10.2. Thanks, Matt. RMA, Ariana, do you have some direction for us?
Yes, thank you. So the RMA Fall Convention is scheduled for November 7th to 10th this year. Hotel rooms have been booked for everybody. I'm looking for, first of all, whether you're planning on attending the convention, and then we can do the registration. There are 2 elected officials education program courses this year that you can select from on November 7th. So if you want to attend either of those, let me know that as well. We'll have to adjust your hotel room one day. And then the other thing is determining which ministers you'd like to try and arrange meetings with and topics for each of those meetings. So that's what I'm looking for you, please.
Okay, thank you, Ariana. I guess 2 things with regard to attendance we can let you know today, as well as the potential for the educational opportunity the day ahead of time. Meetings with ministers, that maybe should be open for a discussion. What are your thoughts?
There might be all different ministers by then too.
Undoubtedly. Matt, have you got some suggestions for us?
Just a reminder, kind of flowing out of the motion that was recommended from Joint Services to fund the Brooks Maternity Clinic, that if we have an opportunity to meet with the Minister of Health, we can put that bug in his ear that the province needs to step up with appropriate maternity funding. That should not be the municipalities' responsibility to fund that. So we had talked about potentially getting together with him at least.
That's a good point, and we also have the Bassano project, the health project to discuss as well. So I think we should put that down, okay? Anything else? I'm going to suggest we give this some thought. We've got a public hearing coming that we want to be ready for, and so that we can, I mean, this is a good reminder for us. Let's give it some thought, and we'll take this up again before the end of the meeting. But Neil, go ahead.
Maybe your CDC thing with Nate would be, he's really easy to get into. He will talk to us. I was a little disappointed in the ones last year.
Yeah, that's probably a good thought too, to meet with, request a meeting with the agriculture minister. I think that's a good idea. There's probably some other things that we want to discuss at that time too. So anyway, I'm going to suggest we don't we table this till later in the meeting and take up the conversation again at that point. So being very close to 11:30, if we have a motion to move into a public hearing, I would accept that. Ollie, move that we move into a public hearing. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. So item number 7.2, that we move into a public hearing to consider bylaw 2037-22, land use number 007. Maria, welcome. If you can give us a summary of the issue, we'd appreciate that.
Thank you. So the purpose of this application is to redesignate a pivot corner from agriculture general to rural or to residential rural district in the land use bylaw. The purpose of this redesignation would be to allow the applicant to subdivide a parcel from the southeast to 6/2014 for a future residential development. The proposed area is a vacant, unirrigated pivot corner. There are currently 2 existing rural residential parcels out of the quarter section. In order to have additional subdivisions out of this quarter, the applicant does need to redesignate from agriculture to something that will allow for further subdivision. This application was circulated to adjacent landowners and required referral agencies, and we did not receive any objections. And the applicant is here to speak to any questions.
Thank you, Maria. Welcome, Brian DeJong. Do you want to speak to this? Okay, yeah. Well, I think most of us know you, but we do need an introduction to your partner there. Oh, welcome, Simon. You're in good company. Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Brian? Go ahead, Dan.
Just have one point of clarification. Do you have to rezone the entire section or just rezone in the proposed subdivision?
Thanks for that. Go ahead, Maria. Yeah.
Just the proposed subdivision, just what is going to be used for residential use and taken out of agriculture.
Go ahead. Thank you. Holly, please.
How many are going to be seeing with, like this is 3 on, I mean, it's a whole, I guess it's a south, it's a quarter. So how many are going to be seeing of these where we're seeing more than 2 subdivisions coming out of a quarter? Because that was what we've talked about, right?
Go ahead, please.
So currently in our subdivision bylaw, on a quarter section that's zoned agriculture, someone could come in and apply for a subdivision without doing a land use amendment prior, and MPC has the ability to approve that. A second subdivision is at the discretion of MPC, again, provided that they meet some of the points within the bylaw. Anything over and above 2 would have to be redesignated. So then there's another step in the process before the subdivision could happen. So the redesignation goes to council for that decision. If that's approved, then the subdivision is presented to the Municipal Planning Commission for that.
Okay, so just for clarification, we're just considering the redesignation of the land over to residential, but then the MPC still has a step following that with regard to any development that would happen, right?
That's correct. So at this point, just that corner of this parcel will be rezoned to residential.
Right.
So essentially it's a split zoning, which would then change should MPC approve the subdivision, and then that subdivided parcel would be all rural residential, and then the other parcel, once it's registered at land titles, is all agriculture.
And how much precedent is there? Is there quite a bit of precedent for this in our county at this point?
There is. Further to one subdivision, land use amendment has always been required in the past.
Sure.
And I think usually, depending on the circumstances, it has been favorable to the applicant.
Sure. Good, thank you. Any other questions? Neil?
I think those corners are best use, doing exactly what he wants to do with them. And I would make the motion to approve the request.
We will need to move out of public
Okay.
hearing for that, but if there are any other questions, Todd, is there anything in the public sphere that's come up with regard to questions or comments?
No, sir, we have no questions in the queue.
Thank you. Any other questions? Kelly, please.
I was just willing to make a motion to move out of public hearing if you're ready for that.
I'm completely ready. That's good. Thank you, Kelly. All in favor of the motion, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for coming in today, Brian. We're moving out of the public hearing, so I'm going to suggest that, having seen no concerns, that we move to second and third reading, right? Motion, Neil?
Oh, you get your motion.
Thank you. For second reading, correct? All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Motion for third reading.
I'd like to make a motion for third reading.
Thank you, Greg. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Brian, please, go ahead. Oh, just grab the mic if you don't mind. Thanks, Brian.
I just wanted to express my appreciation to your staff with the help that they provided. Even though sitting on that side of the table, I think they assumed I knew a lot more than I actually do. But when your planning was never the thing that really excited me when it came to the council, even though it's a pretty important part of it. So, but Maria, Shanley, Jeff, just fantastic. They helped me through this, and it just goes to show you that when you have good people on this in this organization, it goes a long way to helping you get things done. So thank you, and thanks for the job you do.
Take that. Thanks for coming in today. Thank you, Maria. Yes, that's good. Okay, let's bring 10.2 back to the table. Any other thoughts or comments with regard to meetings with ministers at RMA? We are talking about a meeting with the health minister as well as the agriculture minister. Go ahead, Ellen, please.
Question for Matt, perhaps. Have the approvals for environmental improved at all? That the time frame of them, that it always took so long? Has any effort on our part been looked at favorable, that it doesn't take so long to get those approvals in?
Okay, I just caught up to you. Yeah, I believe there have been meetings in the past where that has been raised as an issue. I could touch base with Jeff and staff here to see what the current state of affairs is, but that could be a good issue to raise with the Minister of Environment and Parks.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? I think in any case, I mean, it'll be a newly organized government for sure. But yeah, yes. By then, and I guess the question is, are there others that we want to get in front of with some issues? Go ahead, Neil.
Well, depending on who wins, why don't we go right to the top and hopefully meet with Travis?
Yeah. I mean, I think the question is, and maybe this is for Ariana, what's the time frame on booking for that? Will we have some time after the first week in October to get some priority if we want that?
I think the earlier you can start requesting a meeting, the better, but there's some time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay, one of the other things that I think of in relation to some of what we're talking about is potentially the seniors minister, because certainly the Pisano project, if that moves forward, it will be multiple portfolios that consider that project at various levels. So I wonder if we should add the seniors minister as a request. At least there is. There will undoubtedly be some new ministers, so it makes some sense to maybe raise the profile on some of those issues early if we can. So maybe that would be a third one, depending on the thoughts of council. Who else? Holly, you had your hand up, and then Greg.
I guess two things. One is for the Minister of Health to add perhaps the nursing shortage for Brooks and area, like the fact we can't get palliative care going. Brooks, for whatever reason, has a more significant issue, a shortage of nurses than others, and I don't know why that is. But how many ministers can we feasibly meet with Ariane? Is 2 generals, 3? Is there any number?
I don't think there's any specific number. I usually try for 2 to 3. How many meetings do we actually get? 0 most of the time, but 2, 3 or 4, probably a ballpark. You don't want to do too many because then and then usually the meeting times are about 20 minutes each, so yeah.
Right. Thank you. Greg, and then Neil.
I was just wondering with talks of pathways and talks of recreation and campgrounds and things like that, I'm wondering if it's worth meeting with the Parks and Rec Minister to see if there can be additional grants, even grants for specifically our area for endeavors that we are trying to do to promote recreation and promote wellness and safety in our area. And it's pretty important to me and important to a lot of people in the county. So I'm thinking maybe a meeting with that Parks and Rec Minister would be good.
Yeah.
Tourism. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we can add that, Neil.
That's a good idea. I think we should maybe try for 6. And like, we all don't have to be there at once.
Yeah.
And if we get 2, that's great. If we get 4, we'll just split up into 2 groups and take on everybody. And that's a really good point about the Parks and Recreation. Like, we need that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have 4 ministries already that we're going to request meetings with. Anything else specifically? Seeing none, I think that's, I mean, we can consider this further if we want to add to it later. Even if our odds drop, we can still try later if we want to, right? And Ariana, you're good with response with regard to the day ahead for the educational seminars if we let you know before we leave today, or and also indication, maybe we can go around the room. What's the indication of attendance at RMA? I'll plan to attend. Okay, I think everyone plans to attend. So the question then just becomes whether some of us attend the educational session ahead of time. Polly, please.
I'm wondering if either Ellen or Kelly or Matt can speak to those 2 courses, if they know anything about them, or the necessary, if it's a good course for us to take, or just some idea.
I took the first one, Council's Role in Public Engagement. It's quite a few years ago. I didn't care for it that much, to be honest with you, but someone else may, perhaps. I did the land use development approvals. I find more interesting, I would say. I did not. No, I did not take it, but from what the write-up on it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Kelly.
What I would add to that is that RMA recommends that councils get involved personally in the courses. They do keep track of the certificate courses on file, and HR here also wants a copy of any certificate courses that we take. So be sure to share that with HR here as well. And it's different for everybody because everybody's interests are different, and what you take away will be different. So I recommend if you're involved, get involved and get educated.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. Matt, you had a comment?
I'm a huge fan of professional development. Some of it falls flat, which is also all right, because then you can fill out the course survey after and tell them how to improve it for the next round. But yeah, my experience is usually, you know, about 50-60% of the courses that I've ever attended have been, you know, somewhat useful and somewhat sleepy. But I think if you've got the time available, by all means, you know, tap into those courses that have been developed specifically for elected officials.
Okay, thank you. That's good advice. And I think we'll contact you individually, maybe Ariana by the end of the day or as soon as we can with regard to that. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
End of next week would be great. I thought I had the registration deadline on there, but I think it's sometime in October.
Okay.
So you've got some time, but if you do want to take those EOAP courses, some of them fill up really, really fast.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. If you want in there, you get in there right away.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, let's move to item number 10.3, our organizational meeting, setting a date. Again, Ariana, you've got a suggestion for us there, I believe, right?
That is correct. So for several years, council's been in the practice of holding the organizational meeting on the same day as an MPC council meeting, starting at 9 a.m. Generally, you get through the material in an hour, so this hasn't been a problem. I'm recommending the morning of October 20th, starting at 9 a.m. But if that doesn't work for you, we can select another day.
Okay, thank you. Ellen, go ahead, please.
20th works for me very well.
Okay, you make that a motion?
Sure, if there's no opposition, sure, I can make that motion.
Do we need a motion for that? I guess we do, probably. Any further discussion? All in favor that we have our organizational meeting on October 20th, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Now, let's move to item 10.4, cancel, reschedule some upcoming meetings in November that conflict with the RMA. Again, Ariana, please just take us through it's pretty straightforward. But
It's the Ariana portion of the meeting. All right, so yes, as mentioned earlier, RMA convention is November 7th and 10th. We've got council meetings that week as well. Last year's organizational meeting, you set the interim budget review meeting for November. It would have been November 7th. So tons of conflicts that week. I'm asking for two separate motions because they're two separate things. So for the council meetings, we can shift them ahead a week to have them on November 3rd and 17th and not affect the schedule too much, just because there's an extra week in between meetings at the end of October, so it doesn't affect anything. The other option for that one, you could cancel the first meeting in November and proceed with the 17th meeting as well. Then you end up with more items on the next meeting is the only thing. So the preferred option is to just shift everything ahead a week, but you could cancel, you could do whatever.
the November 3rd date doesn't work for me, but if it works for everyone else, we can, or can we just handle a meeting with a heavier schedule? That's what you're saying. If we just go with one,
yeah.
You would recommend the 17th in that case or the 24th?
Either one of those would work.
Yeah. What's council's preference? Do we want to meet twice in November or can we get away with one? Neil, go ahead.
If we can get away with one, there's lots of meetings that month. I'd prefer to do the one. 2 works too, but you can only put so much.
I'm with you on that. Yeah. Good. Greg, you had a comment? No. Go ahead, Adina, please.
I'm just checking my calendar and the 17th doesn't work for me.
But we have the 24th scheduled, right? So the question is whether we just simply cancel our meeting for November 10th, realizing that we'll all be in good company during that time anyway. So, and I'd look for a motion with regard to that if someone is prepared. Holly, go ahead.
I would make a motion that we cancel the MPC council meeting for November 10th.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? We're good with that. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead, Ariana, please.
All right, and then the second part of that RFD is about the interim budget meeting for November 7th. Staff are available. Can I find this? Staff suggested either October 31st or November 14th with a preference for the 14th of November, just because everyone's available that day. Or council could select an alternate date if neither of those dates work for you.
Okay, so the suggestion is that we move the budget plat review meeting to either November 14th or October 31st. I have to come in costumes on the 31st. I don't know if I like that. Okay. Any direction? Always.
The 14th works for me.
14th of November suggested. Make that a motion.
Sure.
Okay. Motion is that we move the budget planning meeting to November the 14th. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Oh, Holly, go ahead, please.
Organizational meeting on the 20th. I don't believe that we discussed the time. Ariana had both 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. as options. Like, I'm thinking we're going with 9, but was it actually a motion?
The recommendation was 9, so I would assume that we would start at 9 o'clock unless we move otherwise. Go ahead, Ariana.
The organization meeting does typically start at 9, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yes, but Ariana wanted to leave room if we wanted to have our coffee meeting at 9 and do it earlier, I think. She was being kind.
Yeah.
She was being kind.
We'll assume we're starting at 9. Thank you.
I have a,
Greg, please.
sorry about that. Okay, so the organizational meeting, so that's replacing our council meeting then? Would that be correct? Or do we have council also? As well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Council
'Cause-
meeting will follow that.
Yeah, my main concern was that our council meeting on the 10th is being canceled, so that'd be a long time between, so that's good.
November, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ellen, please.
Just for clarification, when are we going to meet for NPC council then? On the 17th, or was it the 3rd, or is it the 24th?
We're meeting, MPC council is November 24th. And the meeting prior to that in October will be October 20th. So we'll have just over a month between council meetings. Yeah. Okay. That's all within the purview of what we can do, right? Okay, thank you. Where are we now? 10.5 is the municipal engagement opportunity with the Minister of Justice and Solicitor General. There's an invitation letter there. Matt, do you have summary of that for us?
This is really just showing up under potential requests for functions of council. I mean, we seem to be getting lots of these requests for engagement, whether it's Minister of Health, now for Justice. I've seen a lot for police. We just had the federal town hall. So that's kind of where this one is showing up. If councilors are interested in participating with the Justice and Solicitor General engagement, you could consider that as a function of council.
Great. Direction with regard to that? Holly, go ahead.
I think it's interesting. It's just like 50 minutes to, and always up to 20 participants. I kind of, it's good to have input, but I'm wondering how valuable it is at that very short period of time.
That's right, it's just a electronic meeting, basically, right? Okay, Kelly, please.
I'll make a motion that we attend if we are available as a function of council.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate. Opposed, that's carried. Thank you. Thanks, Kelly. Are there any other requests for functions of council? Matt, please.
I'll just draw council's attention to an email I forwarded yesterday, an invite from the town of Bassano for their ribbon cutting at the new lagoon project. If that's anything anybody wants to consider attending as a function of council or just on your own.
Right, any direction on that? I'm attend or plan to attend, but I'm pretty close. I mean, it doesn't need to be a function of council from my perspective. Lynette, go ahead, please.
I think that should be a function of council for whoever wants to attend it.
I don't disagree with that because we don't know. I mean, I'm close. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying, but I agree with that. Do you make a motion that be a function of council? I think that's a significant project that has been completed in the area that has been a long time coming. So it's a good celebration as well. So all in favor that the lagoon opening or ribbon cutting be a function of council, please indicate. Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Holly, please.
I just want to go back to that one with the Minister of Justice, just because they say they only want 2 attendees per municipality. So although it's a function of council, it should be discussed if somebody wants to go, because it's going to Lethbridge or the Hat, I believe it is. But they only want 2 people. Yeah, it's in Lethbridge on the 27th. They only want 2 per municipality, so it should be discussed if someone wants to go and then clarify who is going to go.
Is there anyone that would like to attend that meeting in person? Seeing, Holly?
No, I'm good.
Okay, well, seeing none, I think, good consideration, good point. I think that probably that takes care of it, yeah. Okay.
I just don't think it's...
Yeah. Okay. Any other functions of council for consideration? Adina, did you? No, Kelly, please.
I have a couple. They came up over August for you to consider. We were invited to the National Perspective on Policing, hosted by Doug Dirks on August 22nd. That came through Matt. And then we were also invited to Rural Economic Development, hosted by MP Shannon Stubbs, who is the official opposition leader. And I did do a report on both and sent it to Ariana for the next meeting, but I would like to make a motion that they be, they were 1 hour, 1.5 hours on the National Perspective on Policing and 1 hour on Rural Economic Development. And I would like to make a motion that they be a function of council. They came up after while council was recessed.
Great, thank you. Thanks for that. Do we have a motion? Go ahead, Holly.
I would make that motion.
Yeah, Kelly already made it a motion. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Okay, any others? Kelly, go ahead, please.
If I could just do an infomercial about mental health first aid training that is being offered at by 40 Mile FCSS at the 40 Mile Town Office. It's on Thursday and Friday. It's a 2-day course, September 22nd and 23rd from 8:30 to 4:30 in the afternoon. It's in meeting room number 2. And you can call 40 Mile FCSS for more details. Space is limited. It is a mental health first aid course, and it's a certificate training. I highly recommend it for anybody of interest. It's for helping people with mental health. The dates again are September 22nd and 23rd.
Which is
Thanks.
county council. 22nd is county council, right?
I'm also doing this for general public, okay?
Okay, thank you. Ellen, go ahead, please.
Kelly, would you have any extra copies that we could make to hang in the post office or something? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So you weren't suggesting a function of council, just information, basically?
Yeah, for
that's
information only
Gotcha.
and public consumption.
Yeah, great, thanks, Kelly. Go ahead, Holly.
Ariane has sent out the one for the community justice centers. Just was that yesterday or today? I'm going through emails. So that one is also looking for people to attend. The dates are, I guess, October for fall into our area. So perhaps that should be a function of council. I haven't really read everything on it yet, so I'm not sure.
Okay, did you have a motion or you don't have a motion for us?
I guess I'm making a motion to be a function of council.
And that is, which one again? The
Community Justice Center Stakeholder Engagement. It's held there's one in Drumheller, and there is, sorry, where's the other ones? One in Lethbridge, one in Medicine Hat. They're middle of October, so we can just wait on that until everyone's chance to review the information. I should withdraw my motion. Matt?
I'll go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm totally against this RCMP provincial police thing, but I think we should keep our nose to the grindstone because they're not going to let it go. So anything that has to do with that is probably a function of council, because it's either going to cost us a huge amount of money if you listen to one side, and we have to have the information to make a proper choice on this.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the two dates that would likely be the two dates and locations that would most likely work for councillors would be the 18th and 19th of October in Lethbridge or Medicine Hat are your options. The 18th from 1 to 4 is Lethbridge, and October 19th is 9 to noon in Medicine Hat.
Okay, thank you. That is, so the motion is that become a function of council at councillor's decision. You got a question?
Yeah, I'm just trying to clarify which this is we're looking at. This Community Justice Center, that's the one we're talking about. So that's not necessarily policing from what I'm reading, because it says where justice processes are integrated with health and social services to facilitate a coordinated approach. So does that have to do with the policing, or that has more to do with once they're arrested and what they deal with?
Yeah, not specifically. I would agree with you. Yeah, not specifically policing. Okay, are we ready for the question? Question being or the resolution, the motion is that become a function of council. Okay, all in favor, please indicate. Okay, vote please. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Okay, any other functions of council? Seeing none, we'll move on to post-agenda items. Pardon me? Yeah, okay, let's break for lunch. So Greg, please.
I've noticed, I know that we had our budget planning, we decided on November 14th. I have noticed that I do have a conflict that day. So I was wondering if we could change that, or I'm traveling back that day, so I won't be available.
Okay, are you making them?
I don't know what we do with that. Is it interim budget?
Yeah.
Okay.
If there aren't more conflicts, I don't think that we.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think that would necessarily.
Right. Okay.
Get in the way necessarily,
Yeah,
but we can reconsider it if you want to. You're suggesting we break for lunch and we'll reconvene following lunch, eh? Okay. Thank you. Okay, we'll reconvene, and I think we'll go right into camera if we have a motion to that effect. Greg, all in favor of the motion that we go on camera, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you.